Hey, let's get it popping. I'm just rolling today, man. What I try to do is on Monday and Tuesday make these videos. Yesterday was kind of, well, it was a pretty evening. But, didn't have all this stuff put together for you. I put it together on Monday and I presented it on Tuesday, try to get it out to you on the next week. So don't take a whole lot of your time here, folks. This is a presentation, okay? So I'm going to upload this so that you can look through it. I made this actually when I taught 8th grade because a lot of this, when you know, this is toward the end of the year now and it kind of meshes together. I told you. Say hi. Say hi. Up, 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 up. Say up, up, up. Come here. Up, up. Oh, look who's here. Look who's out here. Helper. See? Everybody's got to have a helper. Oh, that's sweet. Now go play. Okay. So I got you a Kickstarter here. What was the Reconquista? We talked about that in the vocabulary. The conquistadors were conquerors. The Reconquista was the reconquer. Name at least 3 explorers and what they are known for. It's just a kind of a pre-quiz of this. Do you know some explorers? We know Columbus. Do you know any more than that? Maybe you do. Now if we were in class together, I'm gonna tell you. And again, I don't have great reception out here, but if y'all want to like Zoom with me or whatever, you can email me if you need to talk to me directly. If you just want to talk, whatever, I'm down for that. But I don't have a good connection out here, and that's no excuse. I'm just saying, it fluctuates through the daytime, and I'm just afraid if I had you all organized for a call. But if you need me, you know how to get a hold of me, okay? So the age of exploration kind of starts between 13 and 1600. During the Renaissance, people start to want to travel. Marco Polo comes back and he writes his book, and people are like, is he really for real? People start traveling. They want a route to Asia from Europe. And some people have the bright idea, okay, let's just keep on sailing straight that way instead of going around Africa. If the world is round, we'll have to run into Asia if it's the other side of the world. You know, common sense tells you. So, yeah, picture me rolling. Some of y'all won't understand what that is. Some of you will. Black Death. This is why people, and I threw this back in here because we're dealing with COVID-19. COVID-19 is a pandemic. That means it's all over the world now. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to run. I have my own opinions about what's going on right now and why, people are trying to open things back up. I mean, it's crazy. We're almost to the end of this thing, and people are saying, "Oh, let's just open back up." Shh. Keep my opinions to myself. The scare of the Black Death led many people in Europe to move to other places. Of course it did. I mean, if you got nothing but death around you, so they wanted to go somewhere else. Maybe where there wasn't any sickness and there was land. It's a motivating factor to move. Okay. Remember what I said about being fat and sassy. People aren't going to move as long as there's food on the table. They're happy with their environment. They're not going to move. There's no reason to. The people who moved learned about other cultures and wanted to learn more. I don't know why I have a picture up there. The fall of Constantinople was another big push factor. Remember when Mehmed II, the conqueror, conquered Constantinople, Western Europeans, they weren't welcome through there. They put their life at risk coming through Constantinople. And guys, you're 4 minutes in here. Remember, this is on, I'm trying to get this in on one day. If I don't, let's spread it out over Thursday, okay? Don't get in a hurry about this stuff. You know how we do in class when we're talking about this presentation? You might call it notes. I don't. Okay? I'm a note taker. I write stuff down frantically. Some people don't. They listen. And that's good for you. The growth of wealth. Around the late 1200s, early 1300s, people stopped saying, okay, I'm going to trade with Mr. Bible. I'm going to make sure it's an even trade. And so that we both make out okay. All right? Something happened in the mine after the salt and gold trade that people wanted to make what was called, you guessed it, a profit. They wanted to see what they could profit. How can I turn my dollar into $2? Or how can I turn my 1 tomato into 2 tomatoes? They wanted to make more. The commercial revolution happens during this time period, and it motivates people to get out there and trade and find new routes to trade with. So merchants learned how to gain profits, making them richer, and then the class divide starts. You see this as a motivating factor to move. How did they work before? Well, we traded evenly, right? I've got a dozen eggs, and you've got a half a bushel of corn. I need that corn to feed my chickens to make more eggs. So I trade you a dozen eggs for a bushel of corn. Something happened after the salt and gold trade where people were getting extremely wealthy, and they said, "How can I make more?" You know how it is. You get a little money, you want more money. And so people started wanting more, and they wanted to make more profit. How can I get 2 bushels for my dozen eggs? See? And that's how the commercial revolution worked. That's a real thing. The commercial revolution happens in the late 1200s, early 1300s. People started to want to make a profit. You know JG. You know JG. I ain't gonna say it out loud. I know your mom and daddy was JG. Johann Gutenberg changed the world with his printing press. People started to learn how to read. Reading is power. How did this help Europe? Well, I mean, it brought it up out of the Dark Ages, right? I mean, if you can't read a map and you can't read directions, you can't go from here to the next town over, let alone a new continent. Amen. The Silk Road of suicide. People were getting robbed. It was, for you to take a bunch of goods down the Silk Road was tantamount to suicide. Okay, so they had to find an ocean route to Asia. Possibly something else. They didn't know. They really didn't know. You're going to do an activity next week comparing the space explorers to these explorers, because really, we don't know what's out there. Same way here. The people who were living in Europe had no idea about the Americas. And the people that were living in the Americas had no idea about the people in Europe or Asia. All right. So the navigator's the first one, and I think we'll talk about him for just a second. He is in the standards as Prince Henry the Navigator. This dude never navigated nothing. The Navigator Gator. He just funded trips. He funded exploration to Asia. He was Portuguese. And the first one that he funds, his name was Bartolomeo Dias. Bartolomeo, you'll see a video on him next week as well. He goes to the tip of Africa from Portugal. I think I still have this pulled up. So that's here. He goes around. You see my pointer, right? He goes to here. The ocean is so rough, tossing, pitching about. Men were getting sick, throwing up over the side. They thought they were going to die. He finally, he goes off track a couple of times, and people just pretty much thought they were dead. They'd kind of given up. He wanted to keep on going. His men said, if you act like you're going in that direction, we'll pitch your hind end over the side, and we'll tie you to the boat. We're turning around. So basically, they threatened mutiny on Bartolomeo Dias. He was the first one to the tip of Africa, though, from Western Europe, by boat. He was too afraid to keep on going because he was afraid his men was going to mutiny on him. All right, so I got 1 more minute left, and then we're going to... I want you to do this... I want you to do this activity. Well, you can then see the answers there, but that's my answers. It's not necessarily the right answer. If you were going to go on one of those expeditions, I always do this in class. Number one thing people forget is a ship. They'll say, we need educated people, we need this, that, and the other, but they won't say a boat. I'm like, you might need a ship if you're going in the ocean, bro. And that's no small feat. They had to have, I don't know if you can see these or not. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Right here. See that? That's called an Eastern White Pine. That's what they needed to build ships with. What's up, man? Driving 90 miles an hour on this road must be insane. All right, so that's 10 minutes. We're going to pick up here. Do this activity. You don't have to turn it in. Just, what do you need to go on an expedition? And I'll see you on the next one. We'll pick up here where when Columbus goes to Asia.